Hello and welcome to today's webinar. We will begin shortly. During this presentation, we're going to take a look at a pattern. We're going to look at a pattern that we trade. There's one specific pattern that we really like, and it applies to both longs and shorts. So we'll make sure to take a look at that through the course of the presentation. I'm going to show you some trades that we've been in today, and I'm going to also show you some potential trades for the afternoon. My watch says it's time to start, so let's begin the presentation. Good morning, my name is Pete Stolzers. I am the founder of One Option. For recording purposes, I'd like to state that it is Thursday, October 20th, and we are about 2.5 hours into trading. It's been kind of a crazy day today. First, I like to always start with the market. You can see that the S&P is down about 4 points right now, and we'll bring up a quick chart of the S&P so we can take a look at where we are. Always critical to our day trading is where the market currently stands. So I like to use major moving averages. The lighter pink line is the 50-day, the heavier line is the 100-day, and then the heavy pink is the 200-day. So you can see how the market's compressing in this very tight trading range. What does that mean? That means that we can't really count on a market tailwind on any given day because it's trapped in this very tight range. It also means that we're not going to be swing trading. We don't know which way this market's going to break out, so we want to keep our overnight risk exposure very small. When we start getting into a trend like this or like this, then we can be confident holding overnight positions and we can take a directional stance on the market. But right now, this is a day trading environment. That's a great way to grind out profits every single day. So that's going to be the focus of today's presentation. I will also qualify that by saying that before we do a day trade, we must like the candidate on a swing basis. So everything that we do in the chat room, we like it on a swing basis. We're just not planning to hold the position overnight. Going to zoom in on a 5-minute chart, and then we'll take a look at what the S&P has done today. So we opened lower. We took a few long positions in here on the notion that the market would bounce, and it did. But as soon as it rallied back above the open, everything kind of crumbled, and I've been telling members to use the 100-day moving average as your guide. So 214 is the 100-day moving average on the SPY. I can remove these now since we're looking at an intraday chart, but I'm going to zoom back out just so that you have that reference point. There you go. 214.18 is the 100-day moving average. So once we fell back below it, we had to exit our positions. So I'm oftentimes asked, and I'll try and cover it a little bit today, how do I place my stops? Well, I use 4 different criteria for my stops. One is the market. So I get into long positions here. I know that 100-day moving average is running through 214 level in here. Market backs off and falls below it. I'm in long positions. Hey, I better think about getting out of these positions. Now, hopefully I'm in the right stocks and they've held up pretty well. In most cases this morning, I made money on those longs, or I was at least able to scratch. So the market falls back through. Now we just wait for that support level to be established. I've also been stating that I feel that the market is going to rally. Seasonal weakness is ended, and we have mega cap tech stocks on deck to announce. We got Microsoft, for instance, today after the close. So let the market come in, let it form a support level right in here. Once the market formed support, we started getting back in on trades. We love these compressions, and when you get that little breakout, that told me that the lows for the day are in. Also, we're back above the prior low of the day here. So this is a good entry point for long positions. Now you can see how the market's continuing to grind higher, so the focus should be on the long side. So one of the things that I use for a stop is the market. Always know where the market is, always know what it's doing, have specific levels picked out on the market that tell you, hey, I might be in trouble on this one, I might be on the wrong side of the trade. The other things that I use to stop out a trade, time. If I'm in a trade for a prolonged period of time and it's not doing anything, get the heck out. PNC, kind of a good example this morning. We had this nice early run in here. I got long right in here early in the day. It had a nice breakout and it had the pattern that we trade. So let me tell you about the pattern that we trade and what the system helps us find. We look for price compression. Here you can see a horizontal high on the stock. There you can see a horizontal low on the stock. So this area right in here is the compression that we're looking for. We're also looking for a breakout, which we had right there. We're also looking for a buy signal from my trading system, which we had right there. We're also looking for high volume, which we had right there. So we have all four criteria: compression, buy signal, breakout, heavy volume. We like this stock on a swing basis, but we don't know what the heck the market's going to do, so we're not swing trading. We're simply looking for good entry points on day trades. As I mentioned, the market took an early dip. It was rallying. So I'm in the trade in here. I've got a nice little profit, and all of a sudden I see the market fall below the 100-day moving average. I stopped out here. It was a market stop, and I exited the trade for a nickel profit. So I was on the wrong side of the market. I didn't lose any money. I made money on the trade. That's the reward for being in the right stock. We trade relative strength and relative weakness. That is our edge, and that's what the system finds. So all of these things added together give us a very high probability of success. About 80%, north of 80% is what my success rate is, and my winners are much, much bigger than my losers. So we have the stock pulling back throughout the course of the day, and then there was another entry point where I got into PNC once the market had found that support level, and I showed subscribers. I'm going to put up SPY as an overlay, so I'm going to type in PNC. This is my trading platform, by the way. This is also part of the subscription that members have. And I'm going to use an overlay because there's a point that I want to demonstrate to you. And please feel free to type in questions. There is a chat session on YouTube. You can type them in, and then I will review all your questions and I'll answer them after the presentation is ended. So here we've got PNC. You can see the gray line here is the SPY. So there's the prior low on the SPY, and then it makes a new low. But the stock was able to hold that support level. So there's a low, there's another low, there's another low. Market is ticking down. What's the stock doing? It's compressing. It's finding support. That means it's ready to take off. The buyers are in it. We're going to buy at 92.95 right in here, and we'll just track PNC. So for purposes of this presentation, we'll get in at 92.95 and we'll see what happens. We've got the market rallying nicely in here. I do believe the market's going to finish above the 100-day moving average. We've got the stock right there. So good entry point. There's your compression. Anytime that you get long on these breakouts and compressions right in here, it's a very, very easy trade to manage because that's your entry and we're expecting follow through instantly. Instantly. 5 minutes from now, you should have a nice cushion in this trade because of the breakout and because of the follow through. That means that we can put our stop order in right at our entry price. What's our downside? 0. What's our upside? Whatever we want it to be. And we'll let these stocks run until they hit resistance or until the momentum stalls out. Then you have to take profits because the market is not providing us with a tailwind. Okay? So let's say that I'm in this trade and we look at it again in 10 minutes and the market has stalled out and the stock is not moving higher. We'll stop it out. That's what I would call a time stop. So it's not that the stock won't continue higher, but I'm trying to time my entry so that I am in at exactly the right moment. Entry is critical for every trade because it is the only time throughout the lifetime of the trade that you are in complete control is when you enter. Once you're in the trade, market forces and the stock and everything else takes over. And every minute that I'm in that trade, when I haven't gotten the expected move, tells me that I'm getting closer and closer to a 50-50 proposition. Not that 80% proposition I'm looking for, 50-50. And it just represents pure risk. So get the heck out of the position. I mean, if you're in, you're watching the market tick higher, the stock is stalled out, get out. You know you can always get back in if it starts to perform, but that's what I would consider a time stop. Let's take a look at another trade that I did today. This is a really interesting setup here. I'm going to temporarily remove the SPY. So I'm going to remove it so we can zoom out. I'm going to show you how easy it is to find these stocks too. This is another earnings play. And so this morning I came in and I said, hey, everybody, you know, this is a nice little compression here on CTXS. You can't see it, but there's a black A right here, which means that there's an earnings announcement or a B. B would be before the open, A would be after the close. So we've got this nice little breakout here, and we've got a gap higher on earnings, and we're also through a horizontal resistance level here, and we're challenging another one here. So I told members this morning, I said, this is kind of a funky stock. I mean, we like the breakout here, but I think it's going to pull back on the open. And the reason that I thought that is because I have a study that we call E-reaction. I track what the stock has done the day after earnings announcements so that we can gauge the reaction. So gap up, retracement the whole day. Gap up, retracement the whole day. Gap down, retracement the whole day. So this stock has a tendency to fade the early gap. That's a great piece of information. We have this for all stocks, so we use it when we're trying to trade earnings announcements. Very, very useful tool. So today I mentioned this is a pretty hefty horizontal resistance level. I believe that stock is going to pull back all the way on the open. It's exactly what it did. And it almost pulled back. It did pull back, in fact, to the close from yesterday. So it filled in this gap completely. Now here's how I traded it. I saw the market pulling back and I saw the stock finding some support in here. So I got long with the idea that it's going to hold up while the market is selling off. And let me do an overlay once again with the SPY. Always need to know where the market is. I chant this every day. Market first, market first, market first. So you always have to know what the market's doing. So there you've got your market pullback. The stock also pulls back. You get a bit of a bounce in here. And I think this is a good entry point on this stock because now that it's come back almost to yesterday's close, should be able to find support here and now make a nice run. Much better entry point down here. So I'm in the position, and then all of a sudden, the market starts to really fall apart. It's like, where did that come from? Doesn't matter. There's my stop right there, that prior low of the day. So I'm out right here, and I took a 60-cent loss on the trade, knowing I can always get back in. So stock continues to pull back, and now we've got everything filled in. That gap fills in, and we got the market starting to kind of form a little bit of a base. So I bought some right here. And now we really got the market barely making a new lower low, barely making a new lower low. So it's starting to compress. The market's starting to compress. And so in here, now we've taken out this resistance level. This gray line is the SPY, by the way. So now we're pretty confident that the lows are in, that the market is going to find support here. And so once this stock compressed right here, okay, so again, just like PNC, market making new lows, lower low, lower low. What's the stock doing? Well, the stock has actually bounced, and even though the market's making a lower low, it is making a higher low. Huh. That is relative strength. That's exactly what we look for. So as soon as the stock gets through this horizontal resistance level at 87.28, what do you think I did? I added to the position. I knew that it was ready to take off now. So I bought some here, stock rallied up here, and now it's starting to stall out at this little area right in here. So that is why I exited the trade, and I took a nice $1 profit on it. So really good trade. Took a losing trade here, bought more here. I actually exited the trade, took my loss, waited and waited, got in here, added to the position now that I knew I had the strength, and ultimately I made over $1 on this trade. So it was a nice one. Now you can see how the market is continuing to go higher. What's the stock doing? Nothing. It's floundering around. So it's probably run its course, and it's time to look elsewhere. I do like this market move here. Now we're going to take a look at some other long positions, and we'll see what else we can find. So let's take a look at what's coming up on my searches, and I'm going to remove this once more. And now I'm going to go into my searches, and I'm going to go to strong, and I'm going to go down to one of our favorites. It's called Day Bull. Now this search looks for the pattern that we trade, and the best stocks are rising to the top of this list. So it's very, very easy for us to spot excellent trades. It updates constantly. So as a stock comes up, here's my routine. I've got a couple of different filters that I use. Right now I've been using 1OS. So you don't need to have both of these marked. If you do, you're going to have a lot less results. So we want to not be so restrictive, and we'll just use the 1OS filter. Now when I come in, what I like to do is I overlay the 50-day, the 100-day, and the 200-day. We want to make sure that these major moving averages are not in the way of the trade. So for instance, if a stock is gapping up, like right here on this 50-day, we want to make sure it's through, and then we can be pretty confident that it has gotten through that resistance level and it will continue to move. Plus now we have a little bit of a support level. You'll see what I mean because I'll describe it as we go along. So I'm going to look primarily at the top 15 stocks on this list, and this list is also available in my chat room, so it's an easy access tool. And so I'm going to come in here. There's the bullish version and the bearish version, and if you wanted to, you could just use the chat room itself, and then you've got an intraday real-time chart here, and you've also got a longer term chart that you could view for quick reference. Click on the chart and you're back in the chat room. I'm going to talk a little bit about the chat room while I'm in here, because this is where all the trades are posted. They're posted real time, so you can see exactly what I'm doing, when I'm getting in, when I'm getting out. I oftentimes will be talking about why the setup is so good. When I get out, I'll let members know if I'm getting out because of a time stop, because of a technical support level stop, because of a relative strength stop. So here I actually posted a little bit of a lesson on a stock that I'm watching, PII, and I had just mentioned why it's of interest to me. Again, market making a new lower low for the day, stock actually holding the prior low of the day and bouncing off of it. It's a good sign that the stock might want to go. This is actually one that I like on a swing basis. I think the stock sets up nicely. And so also in the chat room, you'll see lots of lessons where I'm highlighting the pattern and talking about specifics during the course of the day. For instance, here, I talked about my stop on PNC. You've got this compression at the high end of the range. The stock is showing relative strength. Market is tanking. Stock is compressing on the high of the day. That is relative strength. I'd like to stay in the trade as long as I possibly can, because if the market bounces right in here, this stock is going to blow through the high of the day and I'm still going to be in the position and it could really run for me. But all the while, I know that if this compression fails and this lower end of the compression is breached, I must be out. That's exactly what I did. I took a nickel profit on the trade and then waited for it to come in and re-entered. So there are lessons that I post constantly in the chat as well, because I'm trying to educate you on how to use the pattern. Here's another example of a trade that we got into today. I posted this before the open. I had mentioned that I liked IMAX. So here are the things that we look for. We're looking for a compression. There it is. We're looking for a buy signal. There it is. We're looking for a breakout. There it is. We're looking for high volume. We've got all the criteria that we need on IMAX. Now this is really set up better for a day trade than it is for a swing trade. And I'll get into that a little bit later when I show you PII. But this does present a nice opportunity. Still got lots of room to run on it. And so early in the day, I believe this might be an IMAX chart. It is. So I posted this. You've got your big rally in the stock, and now it's starting to pull back and pull back and pull back. And so even though the market had gone through a pretty big sell-off, the stock was starting to hold in here. So you see this little bit of a sell-off here in the market right there. What does the stock do? It went, whoop. That tells me that somebody wants to buy this thing. So that's where we entered the trade. Made, I believe, 40 cents on that trade. So we'll take a look at it. So members in the chat room can private chat with me if they need some explanation. Every single trade that's posted in this chat conforms to the pattern. So there's no guesswork, there's nothing random here. If you see it posted here by one of the members, they're telling you I'm getting in on this stock, you go take a look at it, you visually confirm the pattern, and you go, yeah, that looks really good. Or maybe I'm going to take a pass on that. So we're constantly helping each other find trades throughout the course of the day. And I'm constantly educating everyone on how to day trade this pattern. So let's go back to the platform and we'll take a look at IMAX real quick. We'll go into the 5-minute chart. So this was our entry point. The stock ran up early in the day. We took profits in there. That was a 40-cent profit on a $30 stock. So folks, I mean, if you're 4-to-1 margin on this, you're putting up $7,500 to trade this stock intraday, and you make $400 in a matter of 25 minutes. I don't know where else you can make that kind of return. And that's what we're trying to do every day. And while the market is trapped in this range, we're in there grinding profits out every single day. Now, most of the money has been made early in the morning. Probably the first 2 hours, 2.5 hours is when we're really in our sweet spot. And after that, the activity level has dropped off. The market tends to stall out, and then we have to be much more patient with our trades in the afternoon. So let's go through and take a look at some of the stocks that are coming up here. And we're going to start with a daily chart. And then we're just going to line up what we think is really a nice, look at this, beautiful. Look at that compression right in there. Woo, beautiful breakout. Earnings before the open, gap up. Looks good to me. This is a nice compression right in here. You had a similar situation here where it came all the way back to the prior close. That's a great level to get in. Now, even though I have the 100-day, 50-day, 200-day moving average put up, this is on a 5-minute basis. I don't pay much attention to these technicals on a 5-minute chart, but I just keep them up so that when I flip to a daily chart, I have them readily available. So I like this. This is a nice tight pattern. This is also another thing that's very important when you're picking a day trade is nice, tight, orderly price patterns. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll zoom out and I'll take a look at the price pattern on a 15-minute basis. Look at how nice this is. Just orderly as heck. The ones that you want to avoid are up and down and boom and drop and all over the place. Well, I can't tell what that's going to do 5 or 10 minutes from now. This, yeah, I can feel pretty confident that if I get a compression here and I get long, I'm going to get some follow through on it. Very nice chart. Haven't been able to watch what the market's doing. Just want to show you some other possible candidates, and then we'll go back and see what looks best for us. Beautiful, tight little compression in here. Big volume off of that low. This looks like a pretty good trade through that 100-day moving average. Deutsche Bank. That's one I would buy. And I love it even more right in there. When it takes out that new high of the day, that's your entry point right there at 14.28. A nice 20-cent winner on a $14 stock. PNC, you know we like. Now, we're probably 10 minutes after I told you I liked it. We were in at 92.95. We've got about a nickel gain in this thing, but it's not moving higher. I'd be very close if I don't get that explosive move in here of stopping this trade out on a time stop. I did want to mention that technical support level on CTXS, and that's another one of my stops, is a technical breach. Very important concept. So here we've got the prior low of the day. We're in the position. Stock takes out that prior low and it breaks through this compression right in here. I got to get out. I'm on the wrong side of the trade. I have to stop out of the dang trade. So that would be a technical support breach and a reason for me to exit the trade. So we've talked about market stops, being on the wrong side of the market. We've talked about a technical support breach and getting out. We've also talked about a time stop. The last thing that I want to mention is a relative strength stop. So let's say that the stock was showing really good relative strength and all of a sudden the market's going up and the stock is not. Uh-oh. Well, that'd be another reason for me to stop out of the trade. So I know volumes of books have been written about how to handle stops. And I know that people talk about, well, you have to take the percentage and, what's your upside and your downside. And, then we draw a line right here and no more than 2% and all these structured, rigid stop procedures. I don't use them. I want to be fluid. I want to be dynamic. I want to be aware of what's going on in my surroundings. Every day is different. Every single trading day is different. Every stock is different. So why have a stagnant model when you can have something that allows you the flexibility to adjust your stops based on what's happening right before you? That's my approach, and it works really well for me. So in any case, that was a stop, but I knew that I still liked the stock and I wanted to re-enter, and this was an ideal place for me to do so, and then add and then exit and take my profits on it. Now, let me talk about relative strength stop. Take this off, and I'm going to overlay the SPY. It's a great example right here. So let's say that I'm in the stock in here, buy in here, stock is rallying, everything looks great, and now all of a sudden I get this red candle, whoop, down when the market is doing this. Uh-oh, it's not strong relative to the market anymore. It's lost its strength. I better get out now. So that's a relative strength stop. Many reasons to get out of the trade. But by the same token, if I'm in a position, and like I showed you earlier on PNC, when the market was starting to roll over right in here, big time, and the stock was holding its own, that's a fantastic sign. That's one where I actually want to stay in this trade as long as I possibly can, because if that market had turned in here and this was just a small pullback and it reversed, this thing could explode higher. Which, by the way, we're making money on PNC right now. We're in at 92.95. We're at 93.07. So now, as I mentioned earlier, entry is everything. We're in at a good price. We're in on that breakout. So now I've got some cushion. Now I'll just put my stop in at 92.95, and we're about a dime higher. This tends to be a grinder. So now I can't lose money on this trade. If it runs 50, 60 cents, awesome. I got lots of upside, very little downside. The market is also stalling out right here, so I'd like to see the market recover a little bit and do better. But the market, you can see, is kind of almost ticking down a little bit, but the stock is ticking up. Fantastic relative strength. I want to stick with the position as long as I possibly can. I'm going to remove the SPY, and I'm going to look at the actual SPY because I want to know where I am relative to that 100-day moving average. It's running right through this top. Why do you think the market is stalled out right now? Because that's the 100-day moving average at 214.18. 214.18. Okay, where do you think that last high bar was? 214.18, or within a penny of it. These technical support and resistance levels mean an awful lot. You have to be aware of what your levels are on the S&P during the course of the day. So as I mentioned, our advantage to what we do here, a lot of people want to trade index. They want to trade the S&P 500. It's like candy. It's so easy. You're in, you're out. The problem with it is you have no edge. You have huge institutions in there trading the S&P back and forth. What I want to do is I want to find the strongest stocks in the S&P 500. That's what I want to be trading. The component that's driving the index higher, that's the one for me. Because if I find myself on the wrong side of the trade, on the wrong side of the market, excuse me, I can oftentimes still make money on the underlying. Whereas if I'm trading the S&P futures, if I'm wrong on market direction, I will lose money. No two ways about it. So we find these individual stocks And this is our edge. We're not trading billions of dollars. We're trading, thousands of shares of stock, so we can be in and out. And with 4-to-1 intraday margin, we don't need to use options. And the problem with options is liquidity. There are a handful of stocks where you can get in and out with ease and that have penny wide markets. But for the most part, the stock is so much more liquid. We can buy bids, we can sell asks. We don't get that when we trade options. When you're trading options, you're always trading against a market maker. You're hardly ever able to buy a bid, hardly ever able to sell an ask. You're lucky if you can work something in between. And usually when you do work something in between, it's because the stock has moved against you, and that's why you've gotten filled, because that market maker is finally happy with that price and he'll take you out. We don't have to worry about that with stock. It's so dang liquid. Let's take a look at this SXC again, and we're going to take a look. Now my objective here, see, it's starting to kind of flatten out in here. So we're later in the day. I want a pullback and a compression. Then I would feel better getting in on the trade. So let me just go through my list real quick. You kind of have a feel for what we're looking for. AXP was a stock that one of the members was trading today. Probably has turned out to be an okay trade, but here's what I don't like about it. You can see nice tight compressions in here. The stock is pulling back. You get this gigantic move higher. Look, the stock has gone from 60 to 67. This is a credit card company. There's nothing too exciting that happens with credit card companies and banks. There just isn't. Economics and fundamental news will drive it, but there's nothing that usually leads to a really big sustained move. The other issue that we had early in the day is, see that horizontal resistance level? Pretty formidable to try and get through. So did the trade work? It might have worked really well, but it would not be my favorite candidate because of how high that stock had to rally and then it's still got to get through that technical horizontal resistance level. So this would not be my first choice. I'd rather see something like a super tight compression right in here and then a breakdown right there just through that compression. Then I know I've got a really good trade because the move is just getting started. Take a look at this DB. That is grinding and grinding higher. Take a look at PNC one more time, see if we need to do anything for the trade. We've got our stop in, so we're just going to let it ride. We got a nice profit of 25 cents in it right now. So some people might want to trail the stop and move it up. That'd be pretty wise since the market's been chopping today. So we'll move it up to 93.05 and we'll lock in a dime profit if we get stopped out. But looking pretty good right now. CPA. Let's go back out to our longer term chart. Gorgeous compression right in here. Really, really nice. Okay. We've got our breakout. We've got our buy signal. Heavy volume. Looks good to me. Get a nice compression in there. Get your breakout moving higher. Take a quick look at the market. Down 135 on the S&P, so that's also grinding back. So CPA is one that I would write down. DB and CPA are two that I'd want to follow up on. Hog, earnings yesterday. Was in it briefly, but I missed the big move. Really super, super tight compression right in here. Right on that 100-day moving average too. I like that. And then earnings come out before the open. Boom! Right through this horizontal resistance level, right through the 50-day moving average, and it keeps grinding higher, and now it's through this horizontal resistance as well. So again, stock has moved quite a bit. It's moved 10% in 3 days, so I'd be a little bit leery of it, but the action today is very constructive. And you can see how even during the market sell-off earlier today, the stock was holding its own, and then now that the market's come around, it's grinding, grinding, grinding higher. And guess what? We have another compression here. Okay. These compressions near the high of the day are really good when the market's pulling back because it tells me that all the gains are holding and the stock is just waiting for the next lift off and buyers are lining up. But with the market rally, rally, rally and the stock compressing here, I would rather see this thing moving higher. So just trying to give you a little insight on what drives my decision making through the course of the day. So here you've got win. I don't see anything too exciting in here. Nice compression, poking through, wanting to grind higher, good volume. Earnings are out back in here. Only problem is banks don't move, and that's Citigroup. Really nice, 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 nice. We've already looked at SXC, so gonna move on. Don't see anything there. There's no compression. We're above the major moving averages, but I want those compressions. That's what we want. That's the pattern. This is compressing nicely up in here, but I wouldn't trade it until it gets through something like that. Then I got to trade. I've already got the volume. I got the buy signal, so wouldn't be doing anything with it now. This is interesting because we've got such a tight compression down in here and a big drop on that stock. So we can zoom in and take a look at what it's doing throughout the course of the day. Really nice. Grind, grind, grind. Market's selling off in here. Stock is holding its own, compresses, get the nice little breakout. Yeah, I would buy this one. Now, you're not going to do a lot of shares because it doesn't trade that many shares, but this is probably going to be a nice little opportunity. You've got everything you need for a good trade. So you can mark MCRB down. And all I'm doing is I'm going through the stocks that are on the top of my list. This list is gold. I've spent years developing this system and getting these searches to pinpoint these stocks. It updates dynamically throughout the course of the day. So if you see it on this list, there's a very good chance it's going to be an excellent trade. SPLK, so I flip to it and I go, no, I don't really like this one because it's still got to get through the 100-day moving average. And once it does that, it's got to get through the 50-day. Earlier I'd mentioned when the major moving averages are in the way, you don't want to take that trade. You need it to move through those levels. And up in here, I'd be much more interested because now it's cleared everything. It's cleared the 100-day, it's cleared the 50-day, it's cleared horizontal resistance. And I know I got this little gap in here that's going to be filled. So that gives me plenty of upside on that trade. Then it would be attractive. Right now, not so much. So we'll just keep on looking. And all you need to do is find a couple of these. This is nice. Once the stock is, I call it, out of the gate. This one is really far out of the gate. Now it's got some good movement and all. And there would be your compression, and your entry back in here would be fantastic. Get your buy signal back here, get your volume. Everything's great in here, but now that it's starting to distance itself from this breakout, it gets a little bit more tenuous. But you'll see the price action today has actually been pretty good. Stock's starting to stall out a little bit in here. CC, I don't think we've looked at that one. So we're going to keep looking at stocks that are popping up to the top of the list here. This is what I do. Spend the day, take a look at it, see what's coming up on the. There's your compression. There's your buy signal. Not great volume, but it's got the other ingredients for a decent trade. Take a look at VTR. Coming off of a base in here. Didn't really compress. It kind of came down and just bounced, so not too excited. MIC. I'm going to go through an exercise that I suggest all of you go through every day. It's one of the searches I use. I go up to 10 System E and I click New Entry Long. This is going to show me all the stocks that have just flagged today. Okay. Then what I do is I sort according to the price of the stock, and then all I'm trying to do is go down the list and I'll take a look at stocks that are up a decent amount and are cheap. So I want to find nice. I like trading cheap stocks that are on the move. That's interesting. Good volume back in here. Just going to keep going down and seeing if I see anything. AMRC, too choppy. Nothing there for me. This takes me probably, I don't know, maybe less than 5 minutes. Whoa! If I had done this earlier today, I'd be dancing. This is really nice. Tight, tight, tight compression in there. You get your breakout, you got your buy signal. If you were on that early today, this is a $5 stock. Now it's gone from, you could have easily gotten in here, market waffles around, you're still not sure. Now you get this breakout here. Let's say you get in at 490, you make 50 cents on this. You've only got to put up about $1,500 to buy the stock on margin, day trading margin. $1,500, you make 50 cents or $500 on 1,000 shares. It's an incredible return, 33% return. I like this one though. This is one I'm going to keep an eye on. I keep going down and seeing what else I can find. There's one that's 21 cents. Let's see what that's doing. Got to zoom out. Nothing too interesting. I'd much rather buy a breakout than something that's just coming off of a base like that. And I'm just about done with my presentation. I want to keep it to an hour, and that way I can also answer questions. Very choppy, herky-jerky back in here, but this is kind of a nice little breakout in here, and we're getting some follow-through buying today. This is TMST. Let's take a look at the yeah, it's getting through the high of the day, so it's an easy trade to manage. You can buy it at 11.17 right in here, well, let's say 11.22, and your stop should be this 11.17 area. So let's say that we buy some at 11.21. And then we have a stop at 11.17. Very easy trade to manage. Very limited downside, and now that it's breaking out, you've got the potential for it to maybe move 10, 15, 20, 30 cents on an $11 stock. Why not? Looks good to me. And we have only 3 cents worth of downside to it. Now, if it stalls out here, then I don't get any movement in the next 10 minutes or so, and I don't have that cushion, I've got to get the heck out of the stock. So that's how we make these plays. I'm going to look for one more here and see if I can find anything, and if I can't, then we're going to just answer some questions. Hopefully, I've addressed a lot of the questions that you might already have. MNTA, chopping around, nothing going on there. So this is nice. This is a nice one, CRC. Don't know what they do, don't really care. It's a nice pattern, but it's got to get through that 200-day moving average. Then it would be great. So if it can get through 1287 today, keep this one in mind. You got really nice volume in here. You've got your compression. It's above the other major moving averages. We got the buy signal, CRC. And I'm going to leave it at that. There's DB. So take a look at the market. We're in positive territory now. Take a look at PNC. We're at 93.20. Stock is starting to compress up here. I'm going to take a 25 cent winner on it and say that we're out here at 93.20 for purposes of the webinar. Tried to give you a real-time example of a trade and how to manage it. You know, we've got a nice little winner in there. The stock's starting to stall out. I still think the stock looks really, really good. So I'm sure that it'll continue to grind higher, but the market itself might have stalled out a little bit here. So I'm going to put up the 5-minute chart and see what the market's doing. And we're above the 100-day moving average. So now you would want to focus on the long side the rest of the day. And that's where your trade should be. And your market stop is for 214 roughly. If we go back below it, you know that the market's starting to roll over and that 100-day moving average has failed. So that's how we do it. We do this every single day. We come in, find the stocks, stick to the pattern, have a very disciplined entry and exit approach to our trades, and then we have our list that just keeps refreshing and showing us exactly what we need to be in. These are the best stocks. If you're a day trader and you have not taken the 1 week free trial, I urge you to go in and do so. You're going to find it right on my homepage. So just go to www.oneoption.com, and on that homepage, you're going to see 1 week free trial. This is a plain Jane website. I don't advertise. I don't twist anyone's arm to sign up. If this suits your needs, you're going to come in and you're going to see us make money every single day. You're going to see me teaching you how to trade the pattern. You're going to have access to my platform with all of my trade signals. You're also going to be able to come into my chat room and you can privately chat with any of the other members. Ask them how they're doing. Ask them if they're making money. So I don't have any testimonials on my website. I don't want to cherry pick testimonials. I'd rather have you talk to people who are actually using my product and services. So I hope that you try the 1 week free trial. If you have taken it, you've seen us make money. Hopefully you're ready to pull the trigger and join us, because this is what we do every day. I am looking for serious traders. I like making money with other traders in the chat room. I also have the benefit of watching a lot of people grow as they learn the system and become profitable. That makes me feel good. But apart from that, I really don't have to share my system. It just, I like doing it. I like educating. So I hope you sign up. I hope you join us. I know you'll learn a lot. And my market commentary and market forecasts are spot on. So I know I can keep you on the right side of the action. And I know that my system and my searches are going to keep you in the right stocks. That is our edge. So without further ado, let me take a look at some of your questions. There should be a chat that's posted, and I don't see anybody posting any comments in the chat, so I'm going to conclude the presentation, and I'll hope to see you in my chat room. Thank you. Have a good day.